Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of Digital Downtime. Before we start today, my hearts go out to everyone that lost their jobs at Giant Bomb and Polygon. We'll be diving a little deeper into both of those situations later, but I just want to say my hearts go out to you guys. And this is a call to action to my limited audience that listens to this podcast. Obviously, I myself am a independent game media journalist, whatever you want to call it. Now is the time to please support gaming media as a whole. It's looking kind of scary out there, but remember, people covering video games, people covering the indie games that need exposure, even things that you hate like the Game Awards, Summer Game Fest, publications, whatever else. They need a spot. They're important to the gaming industry as a whole. Please make sure to support them in any way you can. Even just listening, sharing, reviewing, thumbsing up content, supporting Patreon, stuff like that goes a long way. So please, across industry as a whole, support gaming media. And again, that's not just for me, that's across the entire board. So please do your best. That is my call for action on today's episode. So, like I said, we'll be looking a little deeper into Giant Bomb and Polygon. We'll also be talking about Microsoft's price increase for Xbox consoles and gaming in the future. We will also be discussing gaming media as a whole and video game journalism and the decline we're seeing and what are the causes of that. So, very focused on gaming media coverage, literacy, journalism today. And then, as always, we will be wrapping things up with the Have You Played This? And this week's episode, I'm going to spin the narrative a bit. And instead of sharing a game that I have played with you guys, I would like your guys' insight on a game that I have not played, but I'm very, very excited to hear your thoughts on because I hear so much about it. And that game is Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Stay tuned. So, as mentioned earlier, my hearts go out to all the layoffs at Giant Bomb and Polygon. It seems that Giant's Bomb future is uncertain. Following a showdown with parent company Fandom, who also owns GameSpot, over editorial interference. Creative director Dan Reichert, been a part of the gaming community for as long as I can remember, someone I really enjoy, really appreciated insight on things. Recently said on a live stream that he will no longer be appearing on the Giant Bombcast, and the co-host Jeff Grubb confirmed on social media that he's no longer with the company. Giant Bomb content is currently on hold while Fandom engages in a strategic reset and realignment of our media brands. That's coming directly from them. Crazy. Grubb joined back in 2022 with Giant Bomb after a departure of a longtime host and co-founder Jeff Gertzman. Crazy all around. So I don't know what the future of Giant Bomb looks like. There's also going to be an ominous pause on the Giant Bomb streams at the end of April here. It's now May 1st at the time of this recording. So and the Giant Bombcast, which I really enjoy listening to. So yeah, temporary pause on Giant Bomb live streaming, and we'll see what happens in the future. On Blue Sky, Giant Bomb did post with Fandom. Obviously, I'm presuming posting this. We understand this programming pause isn't ideal for our audience, but it's part of a strategic reset and realignment of our media brands. We have some creative ideas for the future of Giant Bomb that we're actively working on that we'll be able to communicate more about soon. They also stated, we understand your frustration and appreciate your patience. We're actively exploring creative options for the future of Giant Bomb. that I look forward to sharing with you soon. So a lot of backlash. A lot of people I follow both on on X and Blue Sky in the gaming industry. Paris posted about it. Alex Navarro has some comments here. Um, you know, he replied saying, "What are you gonna do? What are you exploring? What do you think it is you own? What do you believe is left of it? Unless you can plainly, honestly answer those questions to an audience, why are you talking at all?" And I 100% agree. 100% agree. Uh, the rest of the incarnation of Giant Bomb currently includes senior producer Jan Ochoa, general manager Jeff Buckalar, and editors Timur Hussein and Lucy James. It's unclear as of this recording how many or what will remain amidst the current fallout, or what is the future of the website. Um, which I said before, hosts a long-running forum, an annual Game of the Year list from personalities across the gaming industry. Like I said, just a very, 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 very awesome publication. So I'm sad to see the direction it's going, and it's horrible news. So a cornerstone of gaming is in shambles for sure. So like I said, make sure to go support them. Make sure to go support anyone else indie. I'll be following Dan Reichert very, very patiently and very, very optimistically. I'll keep my eye on him wherever he goes. I'm happy to hear what he has. Like I said, he has wonderful insight and knowledge to bring to gaming media as a whole. So, best of luck to you, Dan, and everyone else. Following the news about Giant Bomb, we also got a double whammy when we heard about gaming publication Polygon, that ValNet has acquired them. Polygon joins ValNet's robust gaming portfolio, known as the ValNet Gaming Group. ValNet is a leading global digital publishing and media investment company. They announced today, so I am recording this episode as mentioned on May 1st. This just came out on May 1st, so this is very, very fresh news. That has acquired gaming publication Polygon from Vox Media, the modern media company. Polygon will join ValNet's robust gaming portfolio, known as the ValNet Gaming Group, which collectively reaches over 1.2 billion users annually. The acquisition and asset deal closed today. So this is kind of aligning with ValNet's long-term growth strategy, because Polygon will now integrate into ValNet's gaming group, which includes industry-leading publications such as Game Rant, The Gamer, Extra Life, Open Critic, Dual Shockers, and Hardcore Gamer. So in other words, we're getting monopolized gaming media, which isn't good. Once again, I cry for help. Please support your independent gaming media journalist, analyst, whatever. Please. They acquired Extra Life earlier this year. So clearly they're trying to put a stronghold in the gaming media landscape. They're stating that with ValNet's proven operational excellence, Polygon is poised to reach new editorial heights through focused investment and innovation. It is with immense pride and gratitude that we welcome Polygon into our growing family of world-class gaming brands, said Hassan Yosef, CEO and founder at ValNet. Polygon, which was founded in 2012, reaches a high-value audience across its site, social media, YouTube channels, videos, newsletters, etc. They've always been known for the in-depth and analytical approach to video game journalism, articles, essays, reviews, looking at all the cultural, social, and artistic aspects of gaming. Similar to Giant Bomb, another really great publication. While video games are always a central focus, they've always tend to broaden out a bit, which I have not done yet on this podcast, but they also cover pop culture and movies and TV shows and technology and all that. So, as I'm reading here, Polygon attracts a U.S. monthly reach of over 6 million, with more than 3.5 million followers. So we will see what the future looks like. But unfortunately, along with this news, there's huge layoffs, and Polygon co-founder stated that he's completely sickened by the news. The move comes alongside significant layoffs for veteran journalists at the 13-year-old outlet, including co-founder, editor-in-chief Chris Plant and senior writer Michael McWhirter. The sudden job cuts have been completely unexpected for those affected, which is typically how these things go. Polygon senior reporter Nicole Carpenter, for instance, published a story about Epic versus Apple case at 10 a.m. Eastern on the same day, May 1st. So she published an article at 10 a.m. Eastern before sharing news of her layoff less than 2 hours later on Blue Sky. Absolutely fucking nuts, if you ask me. Along with just about everyone else at Polygon, I am now out of a job, ending over a decade at Vox Media for me. Curation editor Pete Volk wrote on Blue Sky. Working at Polygon was a wonderful experience, and I'm proud of the work we did there. Like I said, just very, very unfortunate news. Special projects editor Matt Leone wrote on Blue Sky. Apparently, I'm out of a job. I really can't complain too much. Polygon was a great place to work for the last decade plus, but if anyone's hiring, please reach out. Like I said, this is definitely an end of an era. Polygon was founded in 2012. In the years since, Polygon has become a respected source for news and views on the gaming entertainment industries. We'll see what Valnet does with them. So, looking at the news of Polygon and Giant Bomb, layoffs and all, acquisitions, turmoil, this leads to a bigger question of how gaming media in general has been a bit of a decline. And ironically enough, here I am trying to do a gaming podcast, but podcasting, video reviewing, streaming, these lines of work, I think, is what people are going to start transitioning more to instead of written pieces, and I'll explain more why in a little bit. But back to an article I found on the game business. Once again, if you have not checked out the game business, go check it out, thegamebusiness.com. Christopher Dring has launched that not too long ago. Very great insight. And they have some interesting stats. So I like to reference the game business just for the statistics it provides. So statistics have proven or showed that the top 135 video game websites published over 635,000 articles during quarter one of this year, which is 2025. This is an overall drop of 13%, or more than 100,000 articles compared with the same period in 2024. That number covers reviews, news, guides, features, and code pages, and includes websites from all around the world. A lot of the biggest drops were at guides-based publications, but there's also big declines among the major media outlets, including IGN, GameSpot, Famitsu, and Eurogamer. These statistics were taken from Press Engine, which is a PR tool that developers and publishers use to send game codes and press releases to a database of journalists and content creators. Definitely something that I need to be a part of. So if your developers want to start including me in your database of journalists and content creators, I would appreciate it. Anyway, the decline to me is really no big surprise. According to Press Engine, it has seen 2,902 press contacts disappear from its database over the past 2 years. I'm going to repeat that. 2,902 press contacts disappear from their database over the past 2 years. Those press contacts will include amateur, part-time, and freelance journalists, but it ultimately highlights a significant drop in people writing about video games, with redundancies having hit almost all major game media publications. And like I said, this is just pressing hot of the news we just shared earlier. I wish the irony wasn't there, but it is absolutely crazy. There are other factors to consider influencing the drop in video game articles, including a continued shift towards covering the biggest titles. Of course, this is a decision driven by recent changes to the Google search engine. Given the number of journalists leaving the industry, a drop in articles is to be expected, but the shift has been dramatic since Google's helpful content update, said Press Engine founder Gareth Williams. Independent publishers would describe it as anything but helpful, with some websites closing entirely. It's caused SEO strategies to be revised, and the rise of subscription-based support, even for some of the larger publications. Without the audience being ushered to valuable content, publishers are not going to invest in content that doesn't meet commercial goals. Like I said, a huge shift towards subscription-based support. So again, if there's someone you enjoy watching, such as myself or anyone else, I do not have a Patreon set up, but please support the Patrons. But even, just your money aside, leave a review on whatever you listen to. Apple, Spotify, thumbs up on YouTube, whatever it takes. Do a quick share on social media. These are things that are free and go a long way for people such as myself and rest of gaming media across the board, it seems like. And he quotes, "It's never been harder for indie or any game to secure coverage." And I think that's kind of the main quote here, because major games are going to get covered given its new changes to the Google search engine. But indie games need that support and coverage too. You feel me? So it's very, very important that we'd help and grow and develop and support publications that do cover indie games, because, yeah, it's just important because they're kind of the backbone of the gaming industry in general. Some of the greatest and most unique titles come from indies, and some of the best coverage and opinions and all that sort of stuff also comes best from indie publications or indie journalists. I'm not going to put myself in that boat yet because I think I'm shit at what I do. So I'm glad for the people that do listen to me. Thank you. But please, 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 right? The issue from an industry perspective is that as a result of these changes, the games media scaling back coverage of games outside of bigger AAA productions. This only exacerbates the discoverability changes facing smaller studios and publishers, as I said. The drops in articles marries with reducing and converging audiences within specialist media, which in turn has led to frantic competition for high-ranking performative content, the biggest games, with little room for AA or indie titles. An unintended outcome is that it's never been harder for indie or any game to secure coverage. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. So, like I said, I know this episode might seem like one big call for action, but it's important. Other news on this very eventful May 1st, 2025, aside from Polygon and Giant Bomb, is that Microsoft came out of nowhere with a pricing updates announcement. And I'm just going to read it straight from their website. As of May 1st, we have adjusted recommended retailer pricing for all our consoles and controllers worldwide. We also expect to adjust the pricing of some of our new first-party games starting this holiday season to $79.99 USD. Those titles purchased on the Xbox Store have a benefit of Xbox Play Anywhere, allowing players to buy once and play on console and PC at no additional cost. We already knew about the Xbox Play Anywhere function. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But $80 is $80. And I mentioned 2 episodes back, with Nintendo being kind of the front runner on hiking the gaming prices up and setting a standard. Shortly after, we now see Microsoft following suit. Like I said, I expect Sony/PlayStation to be following right behind them. Maybe not immediately. They might not do it with their consoles right away, but I definitely see them start charging $79.99 USD for their first party games. Definitely because they're obviously, seen as more high quality, more hyped up, right, compared to Xbox titles. Given the fact that Xbox first party also comes on Game Pass, whereas PlayStation games first party titles do not appear on their PS Plus subscription tiers, any of them, usually, not day one. So I expect them to follow suit. Obviously, now the question arises, or the point to be made is, this just bolsters the value of Game Pass. As of this recording, there has been no discussions or whispers about the Game Pass price increasing, but I expect it to come given this news. So all the people that really, really enjoy the Game Pass, obviously it's a great value for your price. Just don't be too hopeful, because I think it's going to be coming after this, right? Just makes sense. Microsoft states, we understand that these changes are challenging, and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising cost of development. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. So is this a direct result of tariffs? Maybe, but I think the tariffs are just going to be temporary and kind of You know what? I shouldn't even say that. I shouldn't even give my opinion on tariffs. Obviously, it's not going to be something that's going to stick for a lifetime. But I think these pricing adjustments are going to stick for a lifetime. I don't see Xbox going back and being like, oh no, we're going to change the price now. They're going to stick. And we've only got to the game prices yet, right? So let's look at what's actually changing. So beginning May 1st today, we will adjust pricing on Xbox consoles and controllers in the Xbox Store and provide updated recommended pricing to local retailers. Some are new first party games will launch at $79.99 USD beginning this holiday season. Xbox Series S and X availability may continue to change over time depending on the retailer and by country. Pricing for our headsets will change in the US and Canada only. Some Xbox controllers, like our adaptive controller and adaptive joystick, will remain the same price. I have a PDF opened up here. So let's take a look at these pricing changes in the US. We are looking at the Xbox Series S at $512. Scratch what I just said. Xbox Series S 512 gigabytes at $380 USD. Xbox Series S 1 terabyte, $430 USD. Xbox Series X digital, 1 terabyte, $550 USD. Xbox Series X, $600 USD. And then Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Black Special Edition, $730 USD. So we're looking at $100 increase in the consoles. Crazy. I know obviously because I'm Canadian, I have a lot of Canadian viewers. We'll be looking at the Canadian prices shortly here, but $100 USD increase is crazy. So you can imagine with our dollar how much the increase is going to be. Controllers are moving up to $65. Special editions are moving up to $80. Limited editions are moving up to $90. The Elite Series wireless controller 2 moving up to $200. The Xbox Series headset $65. And the Xbox wireless headset $120 USD. Now, if we look at Canadian prices, Microsoft says the cost of some new first-party games will go up to $79.99 USD. Do a rough conversion, that's about $110 Canadian. Mario Kart World is priced at $109.99 in Canada, so I suspect that's what Microsoft is going to start charging, which is crazy. The price of Xbox Game Pass here in Canada will remain at $22.99 a month in the highest ultimate tier. But I'm calling it now. Expect this to change. Expect this to also increase. If you don't believe me, that's okay. If you're looking at Canadian prices, I'm not going to repeat them all. But if you're looking at the Xbox Series X itself, previously it was $650 here. It is now $730. So we're looking at about an $80 increase. Yes. So it might not seem as bad at US, but $730 for a 5-year-old console is crazy. The digital version will be $680, previously $600. And then the 2 terabyte Xbox Series X, previously was $800, is now $880. And the specs are the same from 5 years ago. And here I was making fun of the PS5 Pro pricing. It's obviously kind of crazy. Like I said, it's probably going to be about $109.99 for their first party games coming out. They weren't clarified yet, but when they will be, obviously I will share that with you guys. Given that the Xbox Game Pass includes the company's first party titles, it remains to be seen whether the subscription cost will increase in the holidays to coincide with the individual game price hikes. But I think they will. I think once the games start going up in the holidays, the Game Pass will go up with it, and it's the perfect time to do it because people will still buy it, right? They're gonna think of the value proposition. Okay, the game price went up. Let's say from 80 Canadian to 110 Canadian. Now let's say if you're charging $222.99 Canadian, and you even bump it up to let's say 30, still better than paying $110, right? I don't know if to do that drastically. I'm just giving an example, right? So that's probably the smartest way to do it. So I was expecting the holidays, the game pricing to increase as well. But regardless, the price increase, very shocking. I think so. Um, I mentioned earlier, I think Sony will follow suit. They already did though. They did raise the price of the PS5, but only in Europe, Australia, New Zealand. But I think you will start seeing the effects of it in North America as well, Canada and US particularly. Uh, but regardless of them holding off on the North American price increase, and that's PlayStation I'm talking about. PlayStation Plus did increase, so there's that. It's just crazy though. It's just crazy. It remains to be seen what other gaming companies will raise prices of their products. But given the U.S. is sweeping tariffs against many countries, particularly Asia, it's safe to assume that more increases are coming, which is unfortunate. But what can you do? I personally think it's freaking dumb as hell that this price increase happened. I don't know, man. It doesn't sit well with me. What is their plan? So Microsoft's plan, obviously, like first party titles aren't just exclusive to Xbox, right? You see a lot of first party titles published on PlayStation now. I mean, Forza Motorsport 5 just went there, Indiana Jones, that is Sea of Thieves, Grounded, etc. You get my point. So does this reflect only first party games on Xbox or just first party games published in general? I'm gonna go on a leeway here and probably just say in general, which means that their future plans for releasing PS5 games will also be $80 USD, which will be 110 here. So, the rumor that, Gears of War collection and Halo and whatever else they want to pump out, they'll be priced at $110 or 80 USD. So if they're going to price their published games on a separate console, which is PlayStation, why wouldn't PlayStation do the same thing for their own? Is what I'm trying to say, right? Um, you know, this is just generally me here speaking here. Amongst the layoffs between the gaming media, we talked about layoffs in gaming industry general. Microsoft did a shit ton not long ago. EA just did some recently, which I didn't even mention in my opening here, but EA just did a bunch at Respawn. I think it was like around 300. Cancel a Titanfall game. But amongst layoffs, gaming as an umbrella, whether you're working in the industry as a developer, publisher, or you're covering it, such as I am as a media journalist, analyst, it's crazy, right? Layoffs left and right, and then you're increasing your prices on software, hardware left and right. It just seems like I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but I just don't get it, especially in a time the business is hurting so much. Especially in a time where I'm so optimistic about the games itself, right? For people always say, "Oh, gaming sucks now," or "Gaming's in a bad spot," and sometimes I resonate with those thoughts. Sometimes I feel the same way. I'm like, "Oh, there's nothing out." But looking at, I mean, you just gotta listen to let's go listen to episode 7, right? And we're talking about 3 game of the year contenders already, and it's only May 1st. The quality of games coming out, the creativity, the passion, things such as Split Fiction, Expedition 33, Blueprints. A lot of games came out this year, right? The Pirate Yakuza game, Monster Hunter Wilds, more and more. There's so many more games coming out. We got Death Stranding 2 on the way. We have the Ghost of Tsushima sequel. So many more Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 released. Like I said, I'm just trying to rattle off games top of my head. Apologies. When you look at all the passion and creativity that's going in it, and then you see success stories, right? Another article I wanted to actually go over real quick, and we will, is Expedition 33. Let's talk about this real quick since it kind of segues into what I'm saying here. All this passion, all this critical success, but also a lot of commercial success. Kepler Interactive, the publisher behind Expedition 33, says Xbox helped change their view of what Expedition 33 was after its showcase in the summer showcase last year. Like I said, the game sold over 1 million units in 3 days, heavily backed by Xbox, featured in 2 of the firm's digital events, launching on the Game Pass. And during the summer showcase of 2024, this game was placed alongside Gears of War Fable and other, big AAA products, which kind of showed the belief Microsoft had in the game, right? So, like, you know what I mean? Now I'm playing double-edged sword. As Microsoft does all these fucking crazy price increases, you also got to give them credit where it's due doing something like this, right? Kepler Interactive states that it let people understand what it was in a way I think we would have struggled to do if we weren't aligned with Xbox. We would have done it through a Steam demo alone, for example. So it helped them, claim this double A territory in a way more confident way. And it's a space that's really increasing, right? If you look at the double A space, it's this new space that's kind of been popularizing the past like 3-4 years now. Split Fiction's another one, right? Where it's like it's not quite indie, it's not quite extremely big AAA budget. It's somewhere in between, right? Somewhere in between small games and extremely big games, a vague space, and there's so much ground that covers. So, pushing these kind of games is important. Now, I mentioned that Oblivion, the surprise drop of it may have impacted Expedition 33 last week's episode, but it didn't. And actually, I think Oblivion just drew attention to quality RPGs that week, and it gave people more to think about the genre as a whole. So, the game has been proven to be a major hit for Kepler Interactive. And, I thought it wouldn't with the Oblivion there. But it turns out there's a huge overlap between 2 fan bases. There was a significant overlap between the players of Expedition 33 and Oblivion. This is revealed by Empire data. 35% of Expedition 33 players also played Oblivion. This is primarily due to the Xbox edition, with 55% of Xbox 33 players also engaging with Oblivion, since both games are available on the Game Pass subscription service. The crossover percentage drops to 22% for Steam players and 16% for PlayStation 5 players, and this data covers European markets, US, Canada, Australia, and the UK. Crazy, right? According to Empire also, tracking players worldwide, the average playtime for Expedition 33 was 2.2 hours. It was 4.4 hours on PlayStation and Steam. Meanwhile, the average playtime was 3.6 hours for Oblivion on Steam, 3.8 hours on PlayStation, and 2.2 hours again on Xbox. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I thought, the release of Oblivion would kind of fuck Expedition 33, but it didn't. And I'm glad it didn't, because from what I hear, the game is phenomenal. And like I said, I'll be playing it after Oblivion. So it actually worked. And I'm glad for them. And I'm glad, right? So the only downside here is that obviously the number of hours played isn't quite there on Xbox as it was for PlayStation and Steam, but it did result in a stronger player count. So the reason I wanted to mention Expedition 33 and the numbers behind it, bridging my conversation back into, gaming right now is in this great creative and commercial space, especially with these AA titles. So it's sad to see all the layoffs and all the corporate greed on a top-down perspective, like Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony probably following, etc., right? I'm sad to see it, but I just wish the best, man. I feel like we're kind of in a renaissance now, particularly with single player games. So I hope the commercial interest, I hope the critical interest continues to grow and foster the gaming industry as a whole. All the devs that keep getting laid off find another place. Like I said, this AA space is really increasing, right? So there's this space now where developers can go. AA is essentially the new AAA in terms of the life cycle of development. Like, these games typically take 3 to 5 years to produce, where AAA now seems like it takes like 5+ easily. Or, let's say 2 to 4 and then 4+ for AAA. So it's a good space to be, and I hope they can find their places as very talented developers and artists and whatnot. And the same thing goes for gaming media. going back to that point of, Polygon and Giant Bomb, and just overall, the decline in the gaming journalism in general. I hope people keep pushing themselves, keep bringing their individuality to things. Pump out streams, pump out podcasts like this, video reviews. I feel like you're gonna have to start showing your personality more, right? And I feel like you can have conversations about literature, whether you're covering traditional news or gaming news or whatever you're covering. If you're using typing, you're using words, you're using written articles, written pieces to present your news. I think you always got to talk about AI, right? And the question is, the question for you guys to ponder is: do you think AI's relentless consumption and regurgitation of written content has encouraged content writers across the board, not even just in gaming? I mean, we're talking about gaming, but just across the board, to produce more video content instead? Or do you think there's less being professionally produced altogether? It's a good question to ask. I see a similar comment here on the Game Business article, and Christopher Dring, which is the founder and author, stated that we're certainly seeing a number of journalists shift to mediums where their personality or unique approach can come to the forefront, which is what I mentioned earlier, including newsletter, YouTube, podcasts. I'm not sure how much of that is an AI strategy or just media looking to control their own destiny more in uncertain times. And I think it's a mix of both, right? I think it's a strategy to combat AI, but it's also a way for individuals to control their own destiny, their own personality, their own identity in uncertain times. Because, yeah, working for a major publication now is just not the way to go. But anywho, like I said, we had a lot to talk about today. Less so about the games in general. Usually we're very focused on just talking about the games itself. But amongst the news of the layoffs and the Xbox price increases, and, I just wanted to have more of an analytical episode, talk about these things. And again, I will continue to stress this. My heart goes out to everyone at Polygon and Giant Bomb. Once again, please support people. Doesn't hurt. Leave a review, leave a thumbs up on that video. If you have the means, drop a sub on their Twitch, their live stream, their Patreon, whatever the case may be. And please support. There's so many games out there that need coverage, that appreciate the exposure. And we appreciate them, right? As if you're listening to this, you're probably a hardcore gamer. You're just a friend of mine or whatever the case may be. But we need those opinion pieces. Not that, I buy games strictly on what critics have to say, but we need more of those non-biased, individual powered reviews and opinions on things, not just major outlets doing it. Those are the reviews I tend to go for more. The hands-on impressions I tend to sway to more towards. So it's very, very important. And if there's one thing we learned from all this is that if you make a kick-ass game like Expedition 33, the release of a classic game remastered will not hurt you. So continue to thrive, continue to push original IPs, continue to be creative, and let's just all support one another. And, we'll continue to grow and foster a space in media, which is so important. I love everything, right? I'm a big music guy, big film buff. Love TV shows. I dabble in some anime here and there. Sports obviously is as athletic as it is. Obviously, sports watching, the competition of it and all that is entertaining to me. The point I'm trying to make is there's so many things that I love in the entertainment space, but nothing quite beats gaming. Even as a 30-year-old man now, there's just nothing that compares to the immersion, right? Like when I booted up Oblivion Remastered, I felt like I was 12 years old again. Obviously, that has to do with nostalgia as well. But I don't feel that same nostalgia when I watch Dragon Ball Z, okay? Or when I reread Harry Potter books. I feel it, but not as much as I did with that. And that's the power of gaming, to put you right there, like in the palm of your hands, right? And a controller, or I guess, the comfort of your desk if you're a keyboard and mouse player. Such an important medium in media. So I just want to continue to see it thrive, and prosper. Stay tuned though, because we still are going to talk about have you played this? It'll be a little shorter this time, but I have some questions for you guys. So stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on this week's Have You Played This, where we're talking about Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. And the reason I want to talk about this game is not something that I have played, but obviously with Oblivion getting remastered recently, everyone's looking at what Bethesda's going to remaster next. The document link that happened a couple years ago kind of indicated Oblivion remaster was going to happen, which it did. The next game will be Fallout 3, which I'm guessing is going to launch next year in 2026. Alongside Season 2 of Fallout. It just makes the perfect sense to strategically place it that way to get the most spike in player base and most sales outside of the Game Pass on PC and PlayStation. But another game that gets talked about a lot and might actually need the remake or remaster, or might need a full-on remake is Morrowind. Morrowind, I argue that Oblivion is Bethesda's best developed game. Someone who got way before into these kind of RPGs before me may think Morrowind is. And I hear that a lot, right? And I want to know what makes this game special. So if you've played it, please tell me, what it was about. I'm looking at the numbers here. It did great numbers. Morrowind was the best-selling RPG for Xbox 2002. It was one of the top 10 best-selling games on Xbox from May through October 2003. A full year after its initial launch. The only other game to accomplish this feat was Halo 1. Absolutely nuts. So by August 2005, the game surpassed 4 million copies. These are numbers from 20 years ago, so who even knows? Where is it at now? Critics loved it. Brought the scope at the time, the richness of the visuals, and the freedom it worked into designed. Of course, criticism came from glitches in various spots. The game being too taxing on the hardware back then, which is this classic Bethesda. I feel like even to this date, that's their criticisms. But apparently the overall opinion is that it's a classic, right? IGN stated that the Morrowind isn't perfect and the system requirements are huge, but its accomplishments outweigh any reservations. Morrowind does have numerous drawbacks, but they're generally minor enough that most anyone should be able to look past them. They'll otherwise find that Morrowind fulfills its many ambitious intentions. It's a beautiful-looking, sprawling, and completely open-ended game that allows you to play pretty much however you like. Now, obviously, it hasn't dated as well. I mean, if Oblivion hasn't aged well, obviously Morrowind has not aged well, which is the call of action to remaster this after Fallout 3. I think I would love it, man. Like I said, I'm trying to ask you guys what made this game this. I know it's challenging. I know the visuals are dated. The combat system would be outdated. But one thing I hear in particular is the universal criticism about the game was the game's journal system. In Morrowind, the player has a journal which is automatically updated with information from time to time following conversations with NPCs. Each new entry following all those previous. And this was just universally hated by gamers and critics alike. The journal was found quickly to become a muddled mess, hundreds of pages long, without any useful method or organization by quest title completion level. Also, it's just one continuous journal? Computer Gaming World called the feature an anal retentive nightmare of confusion, called it one of the game's two greatest shortcomings. Bethesda remediated the complaints to some extent. The subsequent expansion tribunal. The journal was organized by quests and could be easily more navigated. Crazy. Okay, so if we do remaster this, let's please fix the journal system. But I think for what it was, the open-endedness, the scope, all that, the characters, definitely ahead of its time, it seems like. Again, I'm asking you guys, what made Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind special? Would you like to see it remastered, remade? Let me know. And that was this week's Have You Played This? So to close off this episode, I don't have much to say. I don't want to keep repeating myself or sound like a broken record, which I feel like I have this episode. So apologies there. Again, support games, support people that cover games, and that's about it. Okay. Do not support corporate greed. If you feel like the Xbox price increases are ridiculous, that's because they are. Um, Increasing a console price by $100 5 years after release, I don't care what's going on, is not logical in any sense. The spike in gaming is going to $80 USD. I mean, we all kind of had that coming with Nintendo kind of setting the standard. And I think that's going to become the standard. I mean, if Xbox going to do it, someone's going to follow. And I think third-party, obviously, publishers, the greedy ones, EA, Ubisoft, etc., are going to follow suit. So that was to be expected, but increasing a console by $100 5 years later is crazy. So those criticisms are met. If you're still mad about the Nintendo criticism pricing, those are valid too. Essentially, man, at the end of the day, like I said, just support games, support good games, support people that cover games, support the good people that cover games, and speak with your dollar, okay? All this bitching and yapping and complaining on Reddit or Blue Sky or TikTok or X, it's not going to accomplish anything. Because I know a lot of you motherfuckers that do this shit are the same ones that pre-ordered the Switch 2 and will be happily pay $110 Canadian for Mario Kart World. I'm not dissing people who do that. All the power to you. If that's who you are, you love Nintendo. That's what you identify. No hating. I'm particularly focused on the people that will bitch about all this and then go out and do it anyways, okay? Moral of this entire podcast, in this episode at least, support good people, support good games, and speak with your dollar, okay? Put your money where your mouth is, speak with your actions, and keep doing good things, good people, good gamers. Again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please review, give it a 5-star, give it a 4, whatever you want to give it, wherever you listen to, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, thumbs up on YouTube. Spread it. Like I said, it doesn't cost a cent. Spread it on whatever social media platform you have. Podcasts, a lot of it rely on word of mouth. I'm not a big fan of doing promoted sponsored ads on X and stuff like that. But I think word of mouth, these type of podcasts kind of get big in the community itself. We're looking for like gamers to be listening to this, right? That's the whole point. Like always, I appreciate your time. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A little bit different, more, on what's going on in the industry. But I hope you enjoyed. As always, I'm your host, Gilly. You can catch me at This Is Gilly on all social medias. You can catch me on Digital Down Pod on X for the Digital Downtime Twitter account. And then I think you can catch me on Digital Downtime Pod on Blue Sky. I'm trying to push Blue Sky as much as I can. So I'm sure even if you just search Digital Downtime on Blue Sky and drop a follow, you'll find my podcast channel. So please drop that a follow. I'll see you guys on next week's episode. Thank you for tuning in.